Hello, accountability buddies. I'm Les, and this is another episode of Less is More Healthy, coming to you from one of the green spaces in my city. And it's one of my favorite spots. It very rarely has people in it. 99% of the time when I come down here, it's me and me alone. My city has a bunch of these green spaces dotted throughout it, as well as little parks. This one is a little larger than most, but it surprisingly doesn't have a lot of trails cut into it. I'm always surprised at the lack of trails here. I think it's just kids haven't had a chance and adults haven't had a chance to kind of run and play through the woods because it is a bit of a aging neighborhood in my community. Although I have noticed that some younger families have moved in, and I've seen some families out here with tiny children. So maybe that will change. As kids play in these places more, you get more little paths going from houses into the parks. So anyway, yeah, I'm out for a ride. I hit 48 today, as in I'm 48 years old. Tomorrow I'm going to do the ride my age thing, and I'm going to do 48 miles. Yeah, so that should be good. Feeling really good on the bike. I will say that I've taken a week off the bike, and sometimes I think that is really helpful at recovery, and just like I make more gains after I take a couple of days off the bike, and I'm interested in seeing how that 48-mile ride feels tomorrow. And yeah. So for my birthday, I'm going to head to the local bike shop and I'm going to buy a Brooks saddle. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to get a professional fit or talk to the owners about the saddle. But anyway, I'm going to do an overview of the bike. I've shot this a couple of times and just not liked how it turned out, but I'm going to talk about the Ozark Trail G.1 in its sort of final form for me. I haven't made any upgrades other than the saddle since early this summer, and I don't really have any intentions of doing any additional upgrades to the bike, with one caveat: I might upgrade the brakes. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this bike after this season. I've been tempted, and I've been thinking about giving it to my nephew because I think it would be about the right size for him. But I'll probably make a couple of changes to it. I'll definitely give him the frame bag, since that won't fit another bike, since it's custom for this bike. And if I buy another bike, I'll do another custom frame bag. But he probably won't want the Trevor Project sticker on there. Don't know if I want the artist sticker that I have on there to go to my nephew, because he does some like adult themed stuff in terms of artwork. But anyway, let's talk about the bike. I'm going to start at the back and move my way forward, and I'll tell you about all the things that are on it. So I'm going to start by talking about the brakes. So I've got the original brakes on here. I've got one of the original rotors, and then I have an upgrade rotor on it. But I have had consistent issues with the brakes. Like I feel like they don't torque down enough when I adjust them. Like I know I'm torquing them to at least the right torque, because I did get a torque wrench. So I know I'm getting them to the right tension, torque, whatever. But especially the rear has a tendency to, the brake itself has a tendency to move out of alignment and start hitting the brake rotor. And I think it's a quality control issue. I think that what's happening is the bolts that go in through the brakes and hold them in place into the frame of the bike aren't able to be tightened down enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little washer in there, a little stainless steel washer, and see if I can actually torque them down properly, and if they ever move again. This is the problem. Like they move just a smidge here and there. I've checked to see if the rotors are warped. I've checked to see like if the brake pads are rubbing, if things are wrong with them. And what I found is that the rotors are, I've taken them off. I've put them on a completely flat surface. They're not warped. The tire is, or the wheel itself is fine. So it's not that. There's something else going on. So we're going to see. I'm going to see if I can fix that on the back. And the front one tends to stay exactly where I put it. So, which is one of the things that makes me think that the problem is the bolts itself. Maybe I could just shorten the bolt too, like I grind off a little bit on the bolt. But anyway, like that is one thing that I might upgrade later, is the actual brakes, because I wouldn't want to give this to my nephew and have the brakes constantly be causing the same problems for him as they do for me. I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to start with, let's talk about the rack. So this is the Ibera pack rack. I got it on Amazon 11 or 12 years ago. I had it on my commuter rack. It is rated to hold up to 55 pounds, but it clearly holds more than that. I did have to order new support rails because the rails that were on it originally did not fit this bike, or no, they didn't fit this bike. So I ended, like, that was like $9. The new version comes with the larger rails to get them level. So yeah, so that rack has been working fantastically. The drivetrain, I've got an 11 to 46 tooth chainring on there because the 11 to 42 tooth chainring that I had got destroyed when the stick got caught in the derailleur. It wrapped everything up and around the cassette and broke teeth and warped it. So it just didn't work properly anymore. So yeah, and this has been working really well. I get 11 speeds out of that 12-speed derailleur. The 9-speed Shimano Altus, which is the long cage version, is on a wolf tooth adapter, is working pretty well. I get 11 speeds out of it. There is some skipping in the middle, but all said, it's working pretty well. The L2 brifters that I have kept on it are not the right pull ratio to get smooth shifting for the Altus. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. Also, I don't know if you can spot this, but I upgraded I don't know if it's an upgrade or what. I wore out the Kendas that came on it. They were pretty bald in the middle. I probably could have gotten another couple 100 miles out of them, but didn't really want to. They were getting slippery. So I got these Finchy, I'm going to go Finchy, gravel tires on Amazon. It was 50 something bucks for a pair. And they are great. Very lightweight. They're pretty thin, but they're also pretty supple, I think is the right word, in that they feel really good on the road. I keep them pumped up to about 40 psi, and they feel really good on the road and on gravel. And I've got probably 200 miles on them, and they're standing up pretty well so far. All right, let's move up here. Still rocking the Enley alloy pedals. They are working great. Everything else with the middle, the sort of the chain rings, crank and everything are stock. That is all stock right there. I am using a YBN 12-speed train. No, it's a 10-speed chain, because the 10-speed, 11-speed, and 12-speed are all the same size. And then moving up to the saddle and seat post, I have a new seat post. So the seat post on here is now an alloy instead of the carbon fiber seat post that I was rocking, because I snapped it off by over torquing the clamp. And the clamp that came with the G1 Explorer just would not hold the seat post in place. I don't know if it was a seat post had like different sizes on it. There are some spots where it would hold it really well, but it just snapped in half. So I picked up a new clamp. This one does not have a quick release on it. It's a Corky Cycles or West Biking seat post clamp. Works really well, holds everything in place. and the seat post is some no-name brand from Amazon. The saddle is currently a Bucklos 3D printed saddle. The rails are carbon fiber, and I have said repeatedly, no more plastic on my bikes. I'm not a huge fan of carbon fiber. You know, if this frame breaks, I can chop it up and I can give it to my friend who does aluminum smelting or melting, and it's infinitely recyclable. Whereas carbon fiber is just plastic that goes into the landfill. But I got this on Amazon Vine. I didn't pay for it, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's surprisingly comfortable. I have learned that I need a 50 to 55 millimeter wide saddle, and so this is about a centimeter too narrow for my sit bones, and the 50 to 55 millimeter saddles are just that much more comfortable. But this saddle, as long as I'm wearing a chamois, is actually ridiculously comfortable. So the relief channel has some of the TPU 3D printing that cradles my lady parts, we'll call it. So cradles the lady parts, keeps them from getting sucked down into the relief channel and swelling painfully. I've heard that's a problem for other people. I'll let you use your imagination as to what that feels like. I have had that happen with another saddle, which was perfect in terms of width and everything, but it didn't cradle my bits the way that this does. So really surprised at how nice this saddle is. It is really expensive at around $130, but one of the things I've learned is like having a good saddle is you can't do more than 25 miles on a shit saddle. If your saddle's terrible, it's just going to cause you pain. So that's the saddle situation. One of the things that I am actually going to do after I finish recording this and after I finish my ride, I am heading out to the local bike shop where I am, for my birthday, my partner wants to get me a nice saddle. So I think we're going to look at Brooks saddles and talk to the guy at the shop about what that looks like. So I'm still rocking my custom frame bag. It's working great. It's no longer waterproof at all. I've got to seam seal things up again. There are some spots where it's ripped. So I will be taking it off the bike at the end of the season, cleaning it up a lot. I should probably do that now rather than wait, because the rest of this season is probably going to be pretty wet. And on the front of the bike, I'm still rocking the Maraca suspension stem. I'm in love with it. I will never give one up. Every bike that I own in the future will have a suspension stem on it. It's just the perfect amount of suspension for me. It takes some of the vibration off the road and just feels really nice. I'm also still using the Satori Firebird bars. I have found that the drop on them is a little too flared out and deep for me, particularly with where I have the drifters located right now. That said, I do like the loop that comes out for attaching things. I do like holding on to the loop. I am tempted to make myself a bag that fits in that perfectly. But for now, I'm using the two stem bags. One holds my phone, the other holds a water bottle. The front bag has some emergency supplies and my first aid kit. And honestly, I could probably just go out and ride with just what I've got on the bike. I'd probably shove everything in the frame bag and in those bags, and I'd be good. But yeah, so that's the final form of the bike. I'll put links to everything down in the description. I'm pretty happy with the tires. When they came in and I saw the tread on them, I wasn't stoked at them, if I'm totally honest. But 200 miles in on them, and I'm pretty happy. They handle the rail trail really well, and they handle the pavement that I ride on a regular basis. So yeah, that's the bike. here in September, and I don't really expect that it's going to change at all from now until next year. I think I'm going to be able to solve the issue with the brakes. And honestly, I don't mind the brakes at all. When they work, they're fine. I don't need to have, like, I'm also a fan of caliper brakes or like rim brakes. That I'm fine with rim brakes. We rode rim brakes for years and years and years. You know, you did mountain biking with rim brakes, and sure, disc brakes are better and stronger, but rim brakes are fine. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say thanks for being here. I'll catch you next time. Hit that subscribe button, a thumbs up, you know, help the algorithm find other people who might be interested in this kind of stuff. Thanks and bye.